What's up everyone, it's the final day of Christmas as the HOH, which means it's the final day of Christmas songs. It's week 5 in the Big Brother house. Christmas loses her power, no one's in the shower and jury is here. It's the 5th eviction of the year. Who will be heading home and who has made it to jury? All of your latest game updates right here, guys. So welcome to your live feed update. That's right, everyone. It's Christmas's final day as the HOH this week. So straight off the bat, I'm going to ask you guys, let me know who you want to become the new head of household this week as we hit the jury stages. But we'll start straight off with an update. The first sort of major thing that happened in the morning was Ian leaving the diary room, saying that he's asked in the DR if he was to win HOH, can he sacrifice his letter so Cody can get his, and the DR said they can get back to him. I think that's a lovely gesture, really heartwarming and wholesome moment, and I think that's really, really nice of Ian. Nothing is solid yet, but it seems as though Christmas and Day have slightly made up. So they had a conversation in the morning. Basically, Christmas saying to Davon she is sorry that she didn't shut down the fight sooner and it went on longer, and she was sorry for raising her voice. Davon reciprocated the same feeling, saying she was sorry for raising her voice. In my opinion, I think it's only going to be a matter of time before both of those voices are raised again, so I wouldn't hold your hopes out there, guys. Memphis has told Davon that he is playing the lone wolf strategy, and he said that she can have his vote as long as she gives him something in return, because that's what the lone wolf does. And he said that the only person he's worried about winning HOH is David, because he believes David is the only person who would actually physically put him up on the block. And we know that's probably not even the case now, you know. Memphis has gone from this huge target from his dictatorship HOH reign to actually laying quite low with not many people targeting him. David was, but David then sort of said yesterday he sort of had a sort of switch in his mindset in the game, and, you know, realised that Memphis isn't the person he should be targeting. David thinks there's a core 4, and he believes this core 4 consists of Ian, Nicole, Danny and Cody, and as a result David said he will put up a combination of 2 of them, and if worse comes to worse and the veto is used, he will put up the 3rd person in that alliance. So one person's going away scot-free if 3 of them do end up getting nominated, but again it's going to put a huge target on David's back should he make that move next week. But we just don't know who's even going to win HOH first, guys, so we can't put all of our eggs in one basket. Memphis has done his back in, so he's slightly worried about a slip and slide comp coming soon, but Christmas reassures him that there's too many people for the slip and slide comp. I believe slip and slide is usually final 7 or 8, so I think it's probably going to be a couple more weeks until the slip and slide comp. I'd probably say 7, 8 or even 9 house guests. I think the variation has been over the year, so I don't think Memphis has got anything to worry about just yet. Christmas asks Ian who he is leaning towards voting, and Ian says he's leaning one way, but he won't disclose who he's leaning towards. But Christmas says we've got to get out the person who is the biggest threat to our games, and Ian says he agrees. We know that Ian is leaning towards keeping Dave on and evicting Bailey, so we'll see what happens there, but I think Ian's likely going to stick to his guns there and vote out Bailey. Bailey and Davon were discussing votes, and they sort of established that Davon has 4 votes already, and she said she was going to speak to Tyler to see if he can be the 5th vote. I don't think there's any worry whatsoever there. I do believe Davon is going to have near enough to a full house. I think there may be 1 or 2 votes thrown in Bailey's way for sympathy, but I think there's more than enough chance that it could be unanimous. It seems as though the Meow Meow is here to play, guys, with Enzo telling Bailey that if he wins HOH tonight, he's going to flip the house upside down. We obviously saw him get rid of Kesa last week, but he sort of did what the house wants essentially. But again, it was beneficial to his game, so you've got to give him props to that, because if he was to take a stab at someone else, he would have turned the whole house against himself. So he did what he had to do to make this move of getting a legendary player like Kesa out, and also not many people even want to still go for him now. Nobody's targeting Enzo. He's in a fantastic position, so I do believe it's jury now ramping it up a gear, and I think Enzo's not messing around, and I do think he will nominate some people that a lot of people have been afraid to touch for the past few weeks, such as Cody, Danny, Nicole, and I just in Tyler. But I think Tyler's sort of starting to become a lone wolf now. There's just so many dynamics slowly shifting, and, you know, I think especially with Bailey probably heading home tonight, Davon isn't really a massive target in the house anymore. With Janelle and Kesa, they cleaned up shop and got rid of them both, but with Bailey and Davon, I think Bailey's going to go and Davon's going to be around for a bit longer, so it's now time for everyone to start turning on each other and the game to ramp up another gear. Danny and Nicole were discussing who they think their final 6 should be, and they obviously agreed upon themselves to be in it, as well as Cody, Memphis, Enzo and Davon, which is quite surprising. I don't think anyone really expected Davon to be in their final 6, but you've got to assume that she would be cut first when they get to the final 6. So they agreed that in no particular order, the next lot who have to go have to be Tyler, David, Kevin, Ian and Christmas. And round of applause for me for remembering all those names. It took me about 15 takes, but we got there, so get in there, guys. Devon tells Enzo that if they get to the final 3 together, she doesn't care who it is that they're sat with. Devon said she would take Enzo. I'd like to think that if she gets to the final 3 and realises that there's a weaker player other than Enzo, she would take him, because it's All-Stars and you've got to be cutthroat, and if you want to win that 500 Gs, you've got to cut the better player, and Enzo is probably playing the best game right now. Yeah, I think that's fair enough an assumption to say. Now it builds trust, but further down the line, you got to get your head on and go, no, you go to the jury house and you're going to give me that 500 Gs. So obviously earlier on we saw Nicole and Danny discussing their final 6, but Nicole said to Devon about her final 3 includes herself, Danny and Devon, and then obviously you've got to assume there that Devon would be cut at F3. I even thought Devon would be cut at F6, and I still believe she would be in that scenario. It obviously comes down to who wins HOH, but Nicole is, you know, she's got a track record of betraying the girls and working with the guys, so it could only be a matter of time before she does that, unless she breaks the trend. And obviously it's something you say to someone to build trust. You're not going to say, yeah, let's take you to final 6, and you're not going any further than that. So I think again it's a trust tactic, and just to sort of make sure Devon feels included and like she is a vital part of that group. Danny is led to believe that next week will be the double eviction week. I think she needs to hold the horses there. I don't think it's going to be for another couple of weeks. I could be totally wrong. I may need to eat my words, but I just don't think it's coming this soon. But you can never go wrong with a good double eviction night. I always get so hyped on a double eviction night. There's so much hope, and often so much happiness, and often not so much happiness. But it's always exciting, and it's like the ride of a lifetime when you're watching a double eviction, because it's all playing out live. Very, very exciting, but I just don't think it's going to be next week. It seems as though Kevin has stopped sort of beating around the bush, and he has said that he is going to nominate Nicole and Cody should he win HOH. We will obviously have to see if he's just saying this to Devon just as a sort of thing to make it look like he's aligned with her, or if he's doing the classic Kevin thing where he sucks up to every single corner of the house, or will he actually go through with it. He did say later in the day, the house guests, some of them were discussing about Survivor Winners at War. If any of you guys have seen that, I'm sure a lot of you have, and he was saying that Boston Rob should have retired, saying he was looking a bit busted. I don't like that. Don't come for Boston Rob. I mean, just look at my hat right now, guys. No. It's a no-go. Don't come for Boston Rob. Day mentions to Kevin about the idea of putting up Christmas and Tyler just to flush powers, just to see if they've got powers. Obviously, we know Tyler doesn't have a power, but Christmas does. So we'll see what she does there, if she wins HOH, or if Kevin decides to go with Devon's plan. There's a lot to throw around this week, but it's very, very exciting to think of. Kevin tells Devon that he believes Tyler is using the Black Lives Matter movement to benefit his game. I know there's been a lot of spark and controversy outside of the house. I've seen articles and lots of people bringing up the fact that Tyler is doing this, as a result of him saying he was going to quit. Then his head's back in the game. Now all of a sudden he's not going to quit. I don't know how you guys perceive it. It's just as I've said in yesterday's video as well, perception is one of those things where house guests don't even realise until they get outside the house how social media and what's been the social fallout of what's happened in the house. You know, there's controversies all over the globe in Big Brother shows. You know, UK, Canada, Australia. It happens all over. Obviously, different controversies in different countries and different scenarios, and there has been since the beginning of Big Brother. But house guests just don't know what the social fallout looks like until they leave the house. Enzo made a very great point to Cody in the bathroom earlier when he whispered to him that nobody really wants to win this next HOH because everyone's too afraid to take a stab at friends and close allies. You know, if Devon wins, she's not breaking many hearts because she's on the bottom right now. Similarly goes with Kevin. So I feel like I think it's going to be Devon, Kevin, or David. If they win the HOH, they're not really going to be rustling any feathers. However, if someone on the other side of the house wins, they are, and it doesn't seem like people are going to be going for Devon now. So it's like they're going to have to turn on each other. Danny's going out for Tyler, Tyler's going out for Danny, Christmas is going out for Devon, but working with Devon would go for Nicole and it's just all over the place. There's so many exciting scenarios to throw around. Enzo brings up the notion that the eviction speeches are getting harsher and harsher and harsher as the weeks go on, especially since Janelle's eviction. You know, last week we saw Case's epic speech as he blew up the house as he left the front doors and then went outside to Julie and gave this humble speech. And, you know, I didn't really talk about it at the beginning of the week, so I will spare a moment for it now. I've just got to say, what a humble, kind, respectful and caring guy. I mean, I've got nothing but respect for Mr. Case Radar. I just think he's a fantastic house guest, a fantastic human being. Nothing but respect for him. What up, Case? To conclude, it seems as though Bailey does not have the votes to stay, and it's going to look near to unanimous that Davon will be staying in the house. As we hit the jury stages, the game gets ramped up. Things are going to be essentially a form of a half reset button as we head into tonight. But it's very, very exciting, and I hope everyone's enjoyed watching this video. I love making them. It's so much fun, and the support is overwhelming. I'm so thankful for it. It's amazing, guys. So thank you so much for watching. You are all legends. I hope everyone enjoys the show tonight, enjoys the eviction, and again, just let me know in the comments who you would like to win HOH, who you think will be evicted tonight. I think we can all probably guess who it's going to be. But guys, I'll say it as I usually do. Don't forget to like, share, comment, and subscribe. Do all of that stuff. But until your next live feed update, I've been your host, Tom Vasey. Good night.